Welcome back to Sports Dump, Lewis County's only sports podcast, sponsored by Elam's Home Furnishings and Mattress Gallery, Global Septic, and Americool Heating and Cooling. And it was a weekend for the trombone. You guys spent, were you guys all up there Friday and Saturday?
Yeah.
Wow. Which one do you want to talk about first? We've got Napa line up first on the list, but
Yeah.
what a weekend of highs and lows for you in particular, Josh.
Why is that?
Well, Friday, the University of Washington football program won a game, I understand. Defeated the Ducks of Oregon and became the last Pac-12 champion.
Perpetual.
Do you feel like you helped out in any way?
No.
Well, are you a booster?
No.
Would you?
I'm not even like, I'm on my first year of actually being a fan too, because like I covered them, so I wasn't like rooting for them like the entire time I was in college. It was actually, I had a really funny interaction with my girlfriend after the game. She was like, "Yeah, we did it," and I was like, "We? Who's this we crowd?" And she was like, "You went there. You're not covering them anymore." I'm like slowly getting into this whole fan thing.
Well, congratulations to you personally.
Yes, I did great. It was fun tweeting out when I got down at during the end of the Elm game that, you know, standing on the home turf of the undefeated Pac-12 champions.
Very good. Do you think they're going to win their next one? Who do they play? Texas?
Texas, they might.
You know their coach too, right? He's a UW guy.
He left before. He got fired before I got there.
Yeah, he had some.
Dylan was the fan back then.
I was. Did you get fired or just leave for USC?
Oh, he might have just left for USC.
I just left.
He was not sober when he did whatever it was.
It sounded like he had a really fun run at UW, from what I understand.
He had fun.
Mm-hmm. All right, on to the local games. On Saturday, Napvine lost 28-24 in the 2B state championship game
to Okanogan.
The Okanogan Bulldogs. The Tigers could not repeat as 2B champions.
It's hard to beat a team twice.
It is hard to beat a team twice in 2 years. Okanogan outrushed Napvine 267-79. David Huffstetler ran for 194 yards on 30 carries, and quarterback Carter Kukenboo. Is that really how you pronounce it?
It really is how you say it.
Jesus. He ran in.
Cool, not Jesus. It's a great name.
Ran in all four of the Bulldogs' touchdowns. Okanogan led 14-6 in the last minute of the second quarter, but Napvine stopped him on fourth down from the 1 yard line to keep it a one-score game going into the half. Then the Tigers took the kickoff to start the third, marched down the field, and scored on a 3-yard Cale Kelly run. After an interception, Napvine took the lead on a 21-yard pass from Ashton Demarest to James Gross. The Tigers had Okanogan at 3rd and 12 near midfield, but the Bulldogs hit their only big pass play of the game to convert and get into the red zone, and retook the lead 2 plays later for good. Napvine had a chance after a Demarest to Carson Denault touchdown with a minute left that cut it to the final 28-24 margin, but Okanogan recovered the onside kick. Demarest finished 12 of 20 for 141 yards passing with 2 touchdowns and an interception. Cale Kelly caught 6 passes for 57 yards and ran for 18 yards. And James Gross caught 3 balls for 48 yards. It's the first time since 2015 a non-District 4 team has won the state championship. And in 2015, that team was
Okanogan.
And
in 2000,
and they defeated
Napvine. And in 2014, it was
Okanogan,
who beat
Napvine. I was at those games.
Yeah.
I don't know. What did you guys think?
I thought this game went. I mean, the scouts coming in, I think for both this game and the Tumwater game, pretty much lined up with how the coaches saw it coming. And coming in, it was Okanogan's big, and they run a lot, and they're going to try to control the pace of the game, and they're just going to try to run through you. And yeah, that's pretty much what happened. And
it was probably the best game to watch of the whole entire state championship weekend.
Yeah, that's true.
And they really had a shot at that onside kick at the end there.
I was going to mention that too.
Yeah.
It touched like 3 different Napvine players and rolled around for like 30 yards.
Yeah, Pablo Arenas put that ball perfectly, and I think it was Denault fell on it at the 50, and it just squirted out from under his pads.
And it bounced around so far. I think Okanogan took over
like
on
the 30.
Yeah. It bounced so far back.
It went past the first level, and then Denault fell on it, and it squeaked out. It spilled out, and then 2 more players jumped on it and spilled out again. And at that point, it passed the return man. So there was nobody behind the football, and it was just a dead race. And yeah, a couple Okanogan players jumped on it.
Borderline cartoonish. It just kept
boop, 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 boop. And it was one of those where, I mean, I think that happened with like 40 seconds left or 50 seconds left. Like it could have swung the game if Napvine got it.
Napvine gets that ball in the 30.
Exactly. It would have been
crazy.
Pretty short field, but they just, Okanogan always had an answer. It is kind of funny that, the one time Napvine really had to get a huge defensive stop, they went over the top with the passing play because everything else was just on the ground.
Yeah.
And they controlled. I think they won the time of possession battle in the first half. It was like 17 to like 4 or something like that. And also sort of weird, and we realized this after that, but Napvine scored 4 touchdowns and failed to get 4 2-point conversions and lost by 4. So this is why you have a kicker.
That would have been useful.
Okanogan did try an extra point and it got blocked. So,
well, there you go.
Yeah.
Not always automatic.
After watching Napvine's defense against Onalaska and just how they didn't really do a great job of stopping Onalaska's run, I'm not gonna say it's not surprising, but it's kind of fitting to what it seemed like they were playing towards their run defense in the semifinals. Just not to say Okanogan had a better run offense. I think they had more options with the plays they ran instead of just 4 plays in between the 2 tackles.
Yeah.
And Napvine just couldn't stop it.
And pretty much this entire season, Josh Fay was pretty honest about the fact that like almost everything about this Napvine team was the same as last year, but the one difference was up front where they really didn't replace your Mario Laras, your Deacon Parkers, and against Onalaska it was the fact that they would give up 4 yards 10 times in a row to get 1 play behind the sticks, and just on the flip side not let them break anything off. And Okanogan didn't really. I think they broke off like 1 run, but everything else was just 5 yards, 6 yards. I mean, Okanogan's line was massive.
Yeah, Schwartz and I watched it on TV, and we were just look at them boys.
Yeah.
Those Napvine has some hosses.
They're feeding something to those boys out there.
Yeah,
Napvine hasn't played a line nearly that size, and it showed.
And they just got it off to a little bit of a slow start. That was the other thing, like talking about Napvine's offense was like kind of if it was the perfect thing that they had against Riverview or even parts of Onalaska, they had a shot, but they just didn't look great to start. They got Carson Denault back, which was really interesting. He apparently was cleared to play on Tuesday, and when Dylan and I went out to practice, Josh Fay made a point of hiding him in the locker room, so we didn't know he would be out there. But he was back from his broken collarbone and playing at least on offense and punting.
Yeah.
But
he had a monster punt.
He did have a monster punt. He also had a ball that it was a bad snap, and he came down with a great catch to catch the punt and then didn't get the punt off. But I think
go through the stadium.
Yes.
Monster punt.
Demarest, I think, started like 2 for 8 to start, and just there was no rhythm. And then once he kind of got going, there were some better drives. Those basically all the drives that ended in touchdowns were great, and everything else was just 3 and out. And the Okanogan front was just getting him off his spot all the time.
I don't know if it was because he was actually getting pressure for the first time really this season, or if Okanogan just had a really good. I was pretty impressed with how well they defended the pass. I don't know if that was just their secondary, which seeing the kind of offense they run, I wouldn't think that they have great secondary, but they really did a good job against Napvine.
All right. Any other thoughts on the end of the 2B football season?
I think, well, first of all, I can ask you, is this the end of District 4 dominance?
No. Probably like next year, I'm sure they'll be fine.
Yeah.
Okanogan graduates a bunch of guys. Napvine, they graduate some guys, don't they?
Yeah. I asked Faye whether he was going to bet money on playing Okanogan again this time next year, and he said, maybe.
Yeah. If he wants to put some money down at my, off-track sports book that I operate out of this office on occasion.
You are C2BL Hot Takes, right, on Twitter?
No. The takes would be so much hotter if I was. Those takes are trash.
Can we just DM C2BL Hot Takes and see if he or she wants to come on the pod?
Leave them anonymous.
Yeah.
Disguise their voice.
I know they were having a tough time on Saturday.
I'm sure they were in shambles wherever they were. No, I don't know who runs that account. And frankly, after seeing the takes, I've never been that interested in finding out who it is.
Well, not at C2BL Hot Takes, I'm not Aaron, and my DMs are open if you want to link up for any content. Or a feature.
Yeah. Yes, write a feature on C2BL Hot Takes. I mean, people act like it's like the drill of Lewis County, which is
I mean, it is kind of the closest thing. That's not close, but it is closer than. There's not a huge Twitter presence, meme culture in this town. I'm sad to say.
no. Never mind. I'm not going to mention some of the faceless Twitter accounts that have caused problems.
Those are different sorts of problems.
Yeah. This podcast, speaking of faceless Twitter accounts, this podcast brought to you by Global Septic.
What?
Providing septic service and portable sanitation for Thurston, Lewis, Mason, Cowlitz, and Grace Harbor counties. Septic pumping, inspection, and riser installation, commercial septic pumping, grease trap services, porta potty rentals, and of course, they'll rent you a sink. Visit Global Septic, that's GOEBEL septic.com. Give them a call at 360-736-2167. Perfect to duck into a Global Septic sanitation station and fire off some anonymous tweets. Next game up. Tumwater lost the 2A state championship game to Anacortes 60-30. Is that a record for most points in a 2A?
That is a record for most points in a 2A state title game. That is not a record for most points that Tumwater has allowed, but it is the record for the most points Tumwater has allowed in a loss.
Okay.
Wow.
Wait.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Yeah.
They win like
This took me a minute the other day, too.
61?
They beat WF West 63-62 in 2004. First of all, shout out to Tumwater for keeping better records than any other program we cover. Like their website has every single game they've played, so it was easy to look that up. Yeah, that seems like a banger game. Also, I think that game went to triple overtime. So this is
4. Who'd have been on? That would have been McCallum and Overbay were the stars for WF West. Overbay went on he started at Eastern. He was a receiver. Then he moved to tight end. I think he played for the Steelers for a little bit. Anyway,
Cody was learning to walk at that time, so
yeah, Cody probably doesn't remember that one.
I would be like a month old.
Tumwater scored on their first drive and took a 6-0 lead, but Anacortes went on a 34-0 run. Good Lord.
Yes.
To take a 28-point lead at half. Was that to halftime? Or just they were eventually
up 34-6 at half.
It was that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tumwater's offense found its rhythm in the second half, scoring 24 points in the third, but the defense couldn't get off the field. The Seahawks finished the day with 552 total yards.
That's not a record, but it's only 40 away from the championship game record.
Quarterback Rex Larson was 26 of 34 for 346 yards and 4 passing touchdowns. Cash Short scored 2 rushing touchdowns, and Peyton Davis led the team with 67 rushing yards. And Brock and Brady Beaner, they had all the touchdowns?
Anacortes threw for 300 yards and ran for 200 yards. And anytime you do that, you're probably going to win.
Yeah, you're going to be fine. It's Anacortes' first state title. The school didn't field a varsity team 4 years ago, and they didn't join a conference until last season. So it can be done.
Yeah. I mean, it's actually a really cool story.
It is, yeah.
It was insane watching, especially because Tumwater's first drive was easy.
It's textbook.
Like
6 plays,
they took
70 yards.
I think Peyton Davis went around the first play of the game on a misdirection play for 30 yards, and then they just chugged the rest of the way. And then Anacortes got the ball, and it was over. It was like watching, and we watched the 3A game, which was an ugly game, and we watched the 4A game, which wasn't much better at times. That looked low-key like college football talent running the Anacortes. They had 3 guys that were just always open. Anacortes, so Rex Larson was 26 of 34. I think I saw they had 7 guys catch a pass. I think they had 5 guys catch at least 3 passes. There was just always somebody open, and when they weren't open, they were just mossing dudes all over the place. They had, I don't remember what the score was. I think it was when it was 34-6 coming out of, and it was Anacortes' first drive of the third quarter, I think. 34-14, because Tumwater had got the opening kick in the third and just got it. And then it got the defense. The defense got Anacortes. What was it? Third and
39.
3rd and 39.
47.
And they just went one-on-one, deep shot, Hail Mary. Guy jumped over a dude, came down with it and scored a touchdown, and it was 40-14.
Caught everything.
They caught everything on that field. It was incredibly impressive.
I believe it was like 14-6. Anacortes was winning. and like late in the first, and they forced a 3-and-out, and Tumwater tried to punt from like their own 10, and they ended up getting blocked, and then they scored a touchdown.
Yep.
And that was really just the knockout punch. Tumwater was just kind of like a deer in a set of headlights after that.
Yeah, Brock Beener, it fell right into his arms. I forgot the name of the player who blocked the punt, but Brock started looking around and
caught it like
stuck
it was
his
a
hands
pass.
out, and it just fell right in. It was
Yeah.
you couldn't
He
have
just
placed
walked
it any
into the end
better.
zone.
And I mean, yeah, I was starting to look up at halftime, because Tumwater has those notes about all of its scores. I was like, okay, what's the, biggest defeat in Tumwater history? Is this close? And it would have been close if it had been going at halftime. And then Tumwater comes out and they scored 24 points in the third quarter. They got into the end zone on every third quarter possession. And all it did was I think that made it 48-30.
Yeah, I was shooting on the Tumwater sidelines, and every time they would score and get within 2 touchdowns, there would be a moment of hope, and then like 3 plays later, just bang, and Anacortes is right back in the end zone. They just couldn't do anything to stop him.
But Anacortes, it sounds like they're young too.
I think they're pretty much all juniors. Like they're going to stay good.
Okay,
They scored on 8 of their 9 offensive drives,
it's pretty good.
not counting the final couple kneel downs, and then the other came on that special teams play.
They totally stole the
And-
Seahawks chant.
And
They did steal the Seahawks. Chant. They stole TCU's uniforms and the Seahawks.
Purple
chants.
Rain. after
Also,
the game.
yeah, comparing the other thing, and this was a little hard, and Kody could say couldn't really tell from the press box. Most of Anacortes was in Husky Stadium. Like I saw something on Twitter that like of the 12 schools that went there, apparently the Anacortes crowd was by far the best.
It could have been that Lake Stevens played after and also is purple, and there were lots of Lake Stevens people in the crowd.
That you'll see that a lot.
Yeah, that's true.
But it was by far the biggest one there, and they were loud.
And
A couple guys' entire faces were purple. I took
Yeah.
a photo of a guy, but Josh said I couldn't use it.
It gave me bad dreams.
yeah. Just to kind of go off Josh's point in the beginning too, Willie Garrow kind of talked about it afterwards. He's like, on some of those plays, like our defenders were there and they just made plays against most high schools, against most high school wide receivers. You're making a play on that ball, but they were just on another level, and you can't really win a lot of games when you give up nearly 600 yards and 60 points.
All right. Anything else on are you guys picking Anacortes for next year? If you had to put some money down on my total off-track bet station.
I think it's basically
Theoretically.
whoever wins the game between Anacortes and Linden is probably, Tumwater's going to bring back a lot too, but they're going to need to retool at a couple spots.
All right. This podcast brought to you by Elam's Home Furnishings and Mattress Gallery. Everything you need. Maybe you've had a long weekend at Husky Stadium, alternately celebrating and crying, and you need to get back to your home. And then you realize you have no furniture, and you need to visit Elam's Home Furnishings and check out their living room section, their bedroom section, their dining room section, and their office section.
No better mattress to sleep off a championship loss than an Elam's mattress.
You're goddamn right, Cody.
Attaboy.
Good work. Visit them online, elamshf.com. Or visit their showroom at 1530 South Gold Street in Centralia. Excuse me. Elam's Home Furnishings and Mattress Gallery. Other championship games in the 1Bs, Liberty Bell, which, as I understand it, is a 2B school
Yeah, they're
playing
2B
1B
school.
football.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
They beat Wilburcrest and Keller 68-22 for their second straight title.
Huh. Maybe they're good and should not be playing 8-man football.
Oh,
Why are they
maybe.
playing 8-man football?
They
Just
are
numbers?
also a long ways away from anywhere else they could possibly play.
Yeah.
But still. In the 1As,
Put him in 1A. No.
Royal beat Lakeside 9 Mile Falls 49-7 for its 7th title since 2015. I covered one of their title games a few years ago.
Is Royal too good for 1A football?
The
People are
seniors are
asking.
just going to be looking like Tom Brady at graduation with all those rings.
In the 4As, Lake Stevens beat Graham Kapowson 31-6. And in the 3As, Bellevue, which was the number 6 seed,
Yep.
beat Yelm 14-0. You guys were there.
I was
Covering it for the Nisqually Valley News.
Yes, my one day a year covering 3A sports.
Would you like to discuss?
First boxing match I ever covered.
Yeah.
Yeah, what happened?
On the 12th play of the game, while Oregon was down 20-3 in the Pac-12 championship, I think it was still 0-0 at the time, and
Yeah,
Yelm
it was.
gave the ball to Braden Platt, their 4-star. Well, he's a linebacker. He's going to Oregon to be a linebacker, but their 4-star running back. And it was one of those plays where, the defense just stands up the running back, doesn't get him to the ground, so he keeps going, even the whistle's been blowing because one person's moving, everybody's moving, and there's just kind of a lot of jostling going on, and he kind of got sent into the scrum and came back out, and as he came back out, somebody knocked his helmet off, and he turned around and punched a dude.
Was the dude wearing a helmet?
He
Yes.
was.
Never understood that.
Never understood that.
He brought his fist like 180 degrees down and around. Just
Yeah, it was a
full on.
straight,
No shot he couldn't get thrown out for it.
and it was right in front of everybody. It was right after everything. There was no getting away with that.
And then a Bellevue kid like grazed his shoulder, and he just like fell over like to try to counteract it because he knew he was going to get kicked out.
And then the thing, I mean, you obviously feel bad for the kid, but and as soon as it happened, the entire Bellevue sideline just lost its shit.
It was as if they had scored the game.
It was as if they had won the
Yeah.
game there.
One of my friends said that's a great game plan by Bellevue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was obvious. Somebody said something probably in there, which we can get into the stoppages to talk to. The sportsmanship stoppages
gosh.
at Husky Stadium over the weekend. But yeah, after that, it was just, and it would have been a different game with him in there. And yeah, Bellevue went on. They run the wing tee just like Tumwater, and they do a good job of it, just like Tumwater. And the difference was that Yelm's offense wasn't doing what Anacortes could do. And Bellevue won 14-0. Yelm got the ball into plus territory 3 times in the final quarter and turned it over all 3 times. There wasn't offense without their workhorse tailback in there.
All right. Tell me about these sportsmanship stoppages. What do you mean? It's
So-
stopping things to talk to kids,
Yeah,
or
so normally in football, if somebody does something unsportsmanlike, they throw a flag and they call an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. It's 15 yards and an automatic first down unless it's on the offense, in which case it's just 15 yards. But in high school this year, or apparently just the playoffs, when somebody does something unsportsmanlike, says a naughty word or, threatens to start a fight.
what kind of naughty words? You got any examples?
Not any I'm going to say on this podcast.
I
Got the list.
Instead, when that happens, the refs blow their whistle and then throw a flag and then call an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty and then kick the teams off the field, demand that the coaches and captains join them in midfield,
Stand in a
then-
circle, hold hands.
and then call
Sing
the
some
athletic
songs.
directors to midfield, and then have a nice 10-minute conversation about how sportsmanship is important and everybody has to play nice and we shouldn't be cussing each other out on the field. And then after about 20 minutes of this, we can go back to playing a game of football. And we
That-
saw that happen in 3 of the games.
Complete waste of time. Did it happen Saturday once?
Did it
think
even
it
happen after the Plaid ejection? I don't think they even
They didn't do it after
Yeah,
Braden Platt threw a punch.
Because I texted you guys, I was like, if there's ever a time for a sportsmanship meeting, it's right now. They didn't even have one.
They did it in the 4th quarter of the 1A game, which was 42-7. And they did it.
I want to say they did it twice during that game.
Yeah,
Maybe once earlier, but
I think they did it later during the Yelm game.
Maybe just different refs.
Yeah, it was bad. Also, the refereeing across the weekend was just not optimal. It was people dealing with microphones for the first time ever, and they all got stage fright. The flags themselves, Napavine had gripes about the penalties, and they have no complaint. The flags were the calls being made in the Napavine game were fine, but they threw the flag, and then they would converse, and then they would break, and then they'd converse for another minute, and then they'd
It
break.
did seem like
And
it
it
was
would
taking
take
dragging
forever.
it would take 5 minutes for them to actually make the call, and it was just, what are we doing here?
and then when they would make the call, it'd be, or I guess this was the Tumwater game. Holding, green,
Yeah.
second down.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think it was the 3A game. One of the refs just got on his
Oh.
mic and he was like,
We had a total hot mic.
Yeah.
That's assault in King County.
Yeah, there was a ton of flags in the Napavine game.
That too.
There was 20 something. I checked the stats and saw it, but I can't remember what it was. I want to say it was
That was one of the things that was down in
Like
Napa.
20
was
flags,
they were trying to, because the deep shots weren't there, they were trying to do their sweeps and their screens, and they just could not do anything to the outside without getting a hold called on them.
yeah.
But
well, 99% of the time in 2B football, you get away with holds all day,
yeah,
given the refs that they usually have. So I feel neither team were prepared for.
Kody just outing himself as a big time holder.
No, I'm a big time guy that got held all the time.
Big time holdee.
Yes, holdie. Yeah, talking like back is to the guy, and he's still got my my chest plate.
Number one seeds over the weekend went 2-4. Again, 5 of the 6 games were 1 versus 2 seeds. The only outlier was number 6 Bellevue and number 1 Yelm.
Which
Bellevue,
won?
of course, won that one. The number 1 seeds that won were Royal and Liberty Bell?
Yep.
Wow. All right. This podcast brought to you by Americool Heating and
You skipped-
Cooling.
Okay, fine.
Wait, did we? Oh, yeah. Oh, but sorry. Teams wearing purple at Husky Stadium went 2-0 this weekend.
Coinky dink.
I think so, yeah.
Cool.
By definition, yes.
Yeah, the tinfoil hats.
I was going to look into teams wearing green, but I think Liberty Bell does wear green.
Do they?
They're like green and yellow-ish. But Tumwater lost and Lakeside lost, so
Interesting.
conspiracy.
Americool Heating and Air Conditioning. Your
passed-
comfort is their business. Yes, Cody?
I passed an Americool van the other day.
Did you salute them? Did you stop
I
and
did.
Pull over?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
it's
it's
24/7 service.
Pretty sure the van's got like an American flag on the side. I should have just.
Yeah.
Thanks, boys. Thanks for all you do.
You can call Americool at 360-996-5806. That's our 24/7 emergency service line.
They will get there quick because those guys were driving fast. Let me tell you.
They don't mess around.
Well, and
man.
also everybody's pulling over out of respect for them to let them get there faster.
Exactly.
They may have
Yeah.
been on their way.
Might as well
somewhere.
just throw a siren on their vans. Like,
Somebody's too hot or too cold. We got to get there. Full service HVAC installation services and repair with a 100% satisfaction guarantee with everything they do.
Just like us.
Just like this podcast and the sports department in general. Visit west.americoolonline.com to learn more. Any final thoughts on the football season before we move on to something else going on?
good season.
Pretty good. A lot of teams that I think were a lot better than they were last year and didn't show up in the titles, but
Every good regular season game was in the first week.
Is that true?
If I
No.
remember right, wasn't it? Like,
no, there were
well, most.
no, it's first couple
There's
weeks.
a lot of duds, but I mean that's just high school football.
Yeah. I just remember the first week. It was like 6 different games within one score.
That was true.
Yeah.
There were some good ones throughout the week. Week 2 was a bang. Like week 2, you had the Rochester beating Black Hills in overtime.
Oh,
Maybe that
okay.
was week 3. I think that was week 3. You're right. Sorry.
All right. It is basketball season. Oh, when's the all area football coming out?
Probably next week. We have to get moving on all area volleyball and soccer too. That's gonna be this week.
Oh yeah.
He's going to be the all area MVP.
You'll have to buy the issue, Cody, or read it on the internet. And there will be a basketball preview coming too.
Eventually, yeah.
Okay. Since basketball season has started, we've already had a scoring record be tied
Yes.
by Judah Kelly from What Do I Pass? He scored 41.
Yes, and we were told it was the school record.
Well, it's easy to forget.
I put that it was the school record. I am now learning that it was not.
Yeah,
the
I
school
learned
record.
this yesterday when Aaron told me.
Did you change that on
I
the
did.
article? Okay,
It's-
thank you.
Yeah. And then I saw like the Morton School District shared a photo of him with tied a school record. And I was like, oh, good for them. But yeah, the school record was 41 points. Matt Poquette set it against La Center in his senior year. Early in the season, if I remember right. And yeah, Judah Kelly tied it against, was he playing La Center too?
No, he's playing Valley.
Oh, Valley. Okay. Yeah, good for him. It's a lot of points. Seems like they're putting up a lot of points.
They played one game and they did put up a lot of points.
They played 2 games.
Oh, 2?
And they put up a lot in one of them.
Yeah. Come on. Read the paper.
I think they put up a lot in the other one too. They just also allowed a lot, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Well, they're going to be a fun team. Anyway, basketball's going on. We're going to go through each league and come up with one storyline or one talking point. One thing maybe you can tell your friends if they're asking you at the water cooler about 2A boys basketball, for example. So in the Evergreen 2A Conference boys basketball division, the theme is chaos? Question mark?
I think there's just a power vacuum. Last year was the obvious kind of traditional 2A EFCO setup. You had Tumwater, you had WF West. You had Black Hills, and then everybody else. And then Tumwater graduated everybody. WF West graduated Soren Dalen, who was probably the most important, most valuable player to his team in that league. Black Hills graduated Keegan Rongan and Johnny Stallings, and now not a lot's left. I mean, WF West has a couple guys, like was talking to coaches before, and like the two most experienced teams in the EVCO are Shelton and Centralia.
Okay.
And those are not the two most talented teams in the league, so it's going to kind of be who's got the mix. And WF West has a couple guys back. Tumwater has one or two guys back. Black Hills has one or two guys back. And yeah, I have no clue what's going to happen.
All right. Chaos it is. In the 2A Evergreen Conference girls division, WF West, they've got Julia Dalen. She's good.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
League MVP, right?
2-time already, I believe.
Is it 2?
Or no, she might not have won it as a freshman, but definitely last year. All-area MVP last year.
Yeah.
And they only played 6 girls in their rotation last year. And Morgan Roderson was the only one that graduated. So they bring back everybody along with her. They've got a couple freshmen who are actually, like, their rotation seems to be deeper, though maybe that's just them playing non-league games.
I'm not sure how their first game went, but Dylan Beck had 13 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists. She's one of the freshmen that Karnofsky was talking about, trying to integrate these freshmen and see kind of where they're going to fit early, and that's a pretty good start.
Like, yeah, last year they really played. It was 6, and then Carly Deskins got hurt, and it was 5. Pretty much there were a couple minutes in Yakima last year where I think somebody had like a cut on their leg or something, and they had to actually bring the 6th girl in off the bench, and it was like, you just stand in the corner and help us play. Like, on defense, you get this part of the zone and you know how to do this, but on offense, you are not touching the ball. As soon as you touch the ball, give the ball up. If they actually have 6 or 7, they could run an offense around, and they can get a little bit more from their wings, from Grace Simpson, from Lena Fragner, Amanda Bennett's running the point, a little bit more scoring from her to help the best player in Lewis County. They might, this could be a year they could take a serious step. They're going to go out and play Ellensburg in Ellensburg. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
And I may go to that, to be determined.
Okay. In the 1A Evergreen League on the boys' side, can Tenino bring it together? It's the big question. They got the Scout kid. He's pretty big.
They got the Gagne
kid.
Well, Gagne's big. Scout's just good.
Yeah.
They were sophomores last year, and they had the talent, and they just had no experience and not enough cohesion to overcome the lack of experience. And they missed. I can't remember if they missed the district tournament or they just didn't do well in the district tournament. And now they're all juniors, and they're back. They've got Jack Burkhart, who is dealing with an injury, so they're kind of waiting for him to come back. But when he does, he's 6'5", something like that. They've got Cody Strawn, a bunch of guys from the football team, and yeah, just a lot of experience coming back, which is not something they had last year. And suddenly they should be contending in that league.
And on the girls' side in that league, who's the team to beat?
Probably Montesano, because they have the Dalens.
Traditionally are.
Well, only one Dalen now. Tonight I was going to have another rebuilding year. They're kind of, I was
out there last week, and the days are blended together. I already forgot who they were playing.
I think they were playing Toledo.
They were playing Toledo.
Yes. And they were just having, I'm sure it'll get better as the year goes on, because I believe that was the first or second game, but they were just having trouble getting into a rhythm offensively, and it just went down big early, and that was kind of it.
All right. In the Central 2B League, our favorite league, on the boys' side, is it Napvine and everyone else? And what can Adna do?
Yeah, this was, you remember the boys last year were actually pretty fun. It was pretty much a 4-team race between.
It was pretty up and down.
Napvine, Adna, MWP, and Wakayakum. And from the sounds of it, I think Wakayakum pretty much graduated everybody, and MWP graduated just about everybody other than Judah Kelly.
Yeah.
And it was set to be Adna and Napavine again. And then Braden Salmi broke his foot, so he's out for the foreseeable future, which really sucks. And yeah, so
Eli Smith now,
and Eli Smith
potentially.
I heard he sprained his knee.
Sprained it, something like that.
Yeah, so they're 3-0, and the texts I'm getting from Luke Salmi are like, "This team's incredible. I don't know how we're doing it." Like, they're playing. Because right now they have Lane Johnson, who just scored 20 points, which was not happening last year. And who's the other senior on that team?
Jens Nielsen.
And They've plugged in freshmen. They've got another Salmi.
I saw that.
Trevin Salmi, and then the other two freshmen are Grayson Humphrey and Bo Miller.
Yep.
Trevin and Grayson are two kids that have been playing year-round since they were born.
Yeah. So it's kind of I think there's still hope that they can get Braden Salmi back kind of come crunch time around districts or, end of February. And it's kind of like, this is a team that's like, yeah, if they can be in the hunt when he comes back, obviously he comes back and he's one of the top 3 scorers in the league. Until then, Napavine's just got the athletes, and they've got James Gross, and they got Carson Denault, who apparently is healthy again, and they got Jack Nelson, who is a year older and a year stronger, and
they got the Stanley kid being the their gritty kind of point guard kid.
Aggravator.
Yeah, like I don't know who else there's. Toledo has looked good early, but I'm not sure if they've really got the star talent to line up with kind of the big boys, though they proved last year they can take out any one of them on any given night. It's just kind of a matter of putting, 4 or 5 weeks together.
Would you say Rainier's kind of on that same
Rainier's
tier?
probably on that same shoe. They got 3 Meldrums again.
Too many. What's Tudor Lake got cooking?
Tudor Lake's got Zach Swanson.
He's back?
He is back. It took him
his 10th year of varsity basketball.
It took him I think he managed to hit 2,000 points in the first quarter of their opener, given the fact that he went into the season on 1997. So yeah, I mean, count Tudor Lake out at your own peril, but also they're pretty much one guy, unless they've got new kids.
After months of the swirling Adna rumors, he's right back at Toodle.
Yeah.
No. But if you want to talk about star-studded Adna transfers, let's talk about the girls, because holy crap.
Wait, you're telling me the Adna girls basketball team has transfer players?
I'm telling you that
Gaz?
I'm telling you that Carson Freeman came in and dropped 30 in her debut.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And that team was not exactly, they graduated Carly Von Moose. It's not exactly lacking star power going in, and then they had the best player in District 4 probably.
They had, the 3 pretty good guards, like Hallam and
Humphrey.
Guard and Humphrey?
Yeah. And
Still have those.
They still have those.
Unless we're talking about the older Humphrey.
No, it's the same ones. They're all sophomores last year. They're all juniors. So they have to replace Carly Von Moose in the post, which is a lot.
Yeah, she's good.
And Brooklyn Luce shooting threes, which is also a lot, but they got a lot.
But they brought in Freeman, and what's she scoring, 20-something a game now?
Yeah, she got 30 in her first game, and I think she's got 15 in one other and 21 other than that. So
pretty good. Interesting. All right. And then Napavine girls are also...
They're the same team as they were last year. Kira O'Neal's a year better. She looked really good. I saw them out against Mossy Rock absolutely dominate. The Napavine's doing the same thing that they did last year, which is just, other than Kira O'Neal and maybe Hayden Kaut, they're 10 girls who are just in better shape than you, who can run faster than you, jump and play really good defense, and they only ever have to play 45 seconds at a time because there's 5 on the floor and 6 more on the bench that can just rotate in and out, and they'll just press you to death pretty much. And that's what they did against Mossy Rock. Mossy Rock had more turnovers than shot attempts, and it was basically just press into a layup line. Press into a layup line, turnovers into layups. The half-court offense was fine, but also they barely ever needed to run it, and that's they're going to do that to pretty much everybody.
And then Rainier, what's their deal?
They're good at volleyball. They were good at basketball last year.
Yeah.
It's kind of, can they take the next step? They did for volleyball.
Okay. And then in the 1Bs, in the league we're not really sure to call, 1B Coastal something.
I think
maybe.
it's still
It's Columbia Valley.
I think that it's the same as last year, where there's the Columbia Valley and the Coastal, but also the Coastal only sort of exists, maybe. I haven't heard anything from Oakville yet this year, so it's a little hard.
Now, if I remember correctly, last year the teams met up around Christmas and went hat in hand and knocked on Oakville's door and said, "Sir, please, sir,
Win our title for us.
win our title for us. Can you play our JV teams and schedule some more powerful opponents for yourselves?"
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
The opposing ADs went to Oakville, tears in their eyes.
You're too good.
You're too much for us. But no, Oakville was fine last year. And are they as good this year, or has a new contender arisen somewhere?
Has a new contender arisen in the 1B Coastal to take over Oakville's crown?
Yeah.
No.
Well, I mean, I guess you also got Mossy Rock in the 1B Columbia Valley,
Yeah.
whatever they're in.
I don't know much about Oakville. I know they graduated Ashton Boyd, who is one of the best players in the area, and I don't entirely know. The one box score we got from Oakville didn't have Eddie Clatouche on it, so I'm not sure if he's playing or not. But Courtney Price is a really good post player. They've still got at least one Rodas at a time. They've got the athletes to beat anybody in that league by 60 points a game.
What about Mossy Rock?
The boys?
Yeah.
Well, think about their football team because it's the exact same guys.
All right. They're going to be fine.
Yeah.
Them and Nacelle for the league title there, probably?
Yeah.
Like it is in everything?
Probably.
Yeah.
All right. And then on the girls' side, how does Mossy Rock compare to the rest of the state? It looks like they had a bit of a speed bump in their first game against Napfine.
Yeah. Again, it's the exact same team as the volleyball team, and the volleyball team is no longer we're just the best small school in the area. Like last year, they were. I saw Mossy Rock lose to Adna by 2, I think.
Yeah.
They're not doing that this year. They're not going to beat Napfine. They might give the Rainiers or Toledo's a game, but also then they're going to go into 1B play and beat everybody by 70. So like. Not sure. It's like volleyball. I'm not sure. Like they're going to win that league easily. I'm not sure if they're going to turn that into anything at state. But in volleyball, they did. They turned it into a 3rd place finish. So does that kind of carry over? Who knows? We shall see.
All right. Anything else you guys want to mention before we close this one out?
We're going to talk selection committee, the playoff.
Oh, Dylan, talk about the selection committee in the playoff.
Go ahead.
I'm
Go ahead.
torn because by Boo Corrigan is kind of right by the letter of the law and kind of the system that's in place. There's all this whole like the 4 best teams.
We're talking about college.
Heavy air
Yeah.
quotes. Oh yeah. Heavy air quotes, right? The 4 best teams. And it's like, did they get it right? Probably.
No.
But at the same time, like, what's the point if a team's going to go unbeaten in a Power 5 conference? It was one thing when UCF did it against, Cincinnati before they had their year and the rest of the American, but was UCF even in the American at that time? Am I getting conferences mixed up?
No, there were.
But it's just tough. As soon as Texas popped into that 3 spot, you kind of knew it was Bama at 4 because it was weird because it's like, okay, if you're saying Florida State's not better than Bama because of the Jordan Travis injury, why are you sandwiching them ahead of Georgia? It just feels inconsistent, and this 12-team playoff can't come soon enough.
Somewhere, there's a lot of points being made in there, but somewhere somebody is in Kalama is listening to this and being like, exactly.
Well, Josh, you can look at this with such an air of detachment now.
Yeah, but also they threw UW in the
New Orleans.
in the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans instead of sending them to Pasadena, even though
that was interesting.
Even though New Orleans is closer to Ann Arbor, Michigan than Pasadena.
Are you going
is.
to Nolans?
No, hell no.
But Tuscaloosa, Alabama is also closer to New Orleans than Ann Arbor. Or than
It's dumb.
Pasadena. But
Yeah, I don't
interesting.
side with the selection committee or any of the teams. I side with what JJ Watt proposed.
I
just
liked his option, yeah.
Screw it, do 6 teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Washington and Michigan at 1 and 2, and then a random draw for the other 4 play-ins.
Yeah, I like
That
that.
would have been the best solution. The Florida State head coach had an amazing rant.
Oh, the Florida State athletic director went off. It was great.
Oh yeah, they were all great. And just I saw a great snapshot of like a coaches meeting for what's the bowl Georgia and Florida State are playing in? Would that be the Rose
Sugar?
Bowl?
Oh,
No.
no, Peach Bowl, I think.
Orange Bowl?
Yeah.
One of those. But it was the coaches meeting for that, and it was the 2 of them side by side on the Zoom call. And it's like, who do you think wants to be here least? And they both just look so sad.
Mike Norvell was literally like shaking his head from like minute 1.
I mean, honestly, you talked about UCF. Like, Florida State should just, like, forfeit and declare itself national, like, refuse to play and declare itself national champions.
So an interesting thing I saw, I forgot which AP voter it was, but someone on Twitter proposed and said, hey, if Florida State beats Georgia and one of the 1-loss teams wins the playoff, would any AP voter consider voting Florida State at 1 in the final AP poll? And one of the voters tweeted and was like, it'd be something I'd consider.
Interesting.
If they beat Georgia, I wouldn't even be mad at them for claiming a national
Yeah.
championship.
that person from Kalama is still thinking you're agreeing with them somehow in here.
All right. We're going to close it out there. We'll be back next week sometime to talk about basketball.
Preview the
Question mark?
playoff.
Yeah. All right. See you guys. Thanks.